The Match Ball.
Hello and welcome to the Match Ball for the Norwich City away game. It's Dan, Michael and Moscow with you. On the live stream on YouTube for our TSB Plus subscribers, if you're listening after the event, you can catch all the games live streamed. The match balls, not the games. We can't stream the games. That's very, very naughty.
You're getting into Noel Whelan territory here. Have you been hacked?
His brain was just hacked.
It was, yeah. Just a quick heads up. Levi Solicitors bring you the podcast at 10% off your legal fees. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Right, where do we start with that? It's 3 points in the bank, but I didn't enjoy that particularly.
It was awful, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's going to be like that until we get out of this bloody mess, isn't it?
It felt like it needn't have been, because they were awful, weren't they? I mean, we were not much better than, but Christ, they're bad.
Yeah, I mean, really terrible. There will be people who say that a better side would punish us under those circumstances on another day, but it wasn't another side. You can only play what's in front of you, and they were shite, really, weren't they?
They were, and I don't think the referee helped.
No.
That was not a game where we needed, what were there, 70 fouls or something like that? We've broken all-time records.
Yeah, I think it was more. Yeah.
So, and a lot of them were not really big deals, were they? It was kind of little ankle taps and stuff, and people fall over, and that's if it's a short whistle, then you know it's not really worth giving. I think there should be a rule brought in where length of whistle, there should be a minimum length if the referee wants to give a free kick. They should have to really commit to it. And that meant it was very difficult to get any momentum going.
Yeah, it was a bit stop-started, which I guess suited us towards the end, didn't it, when Rafinha got his cramp? Glad to see the lads getting cramp towards the end of the game, just like in the Wolves game.
Glad to see him ordering Cody Drama about as well. You, boy, this, now.
My leg. Sort it.
Fix my cramp. Guglop PQQ, catchy name in the live stream chat, saying that was shite. I loved it.
I didn't.
I know, I didn't.
I hated it, I have to say.
It was like torture, wasn't it? We need to just acknowledge for the benefit of the people watching on video that Moscow and I were in the same jumper.
You look very nice together.
Maybe that's what lay behind the win. If we're getting into superstitious territory, then you and me wearing the same jumper might be it. Either that or ending with Adam Forshaw as effectively a false nine. One or two of the things, these are what make the difference and help us get back to winning ways.
What did you make of it as a contest as a whole? Lacking in quality? Were we nervous? What happened there? Because we were saying, weren't we, Moscow, like during that game, all this needs is for us to score. If we score in this, then I think we'll probably step up in terms of confidence and quality.
Then we'll be fine for at least a minute.
Yeah. Well, all the scoring was over in 4 minutes and 31 seconds from start to finish there. But what did you make of it as a contest generally? Did we look nervous? Did we lack quality? Are we in deep trouble? Or is it just because we're down here swimming around in this mess at the minute?
It seemed to me like everyone played badly, pretty much. Like, I thought Calvin, considering him and Rafinha are our best two players, he didn't particularly play like it. Jackie Harrison was awful.
He's not Jackie anymore, is he? He's got to hand that one back, surely. Imagine he's dealt with a man bun, and that's now gone back to the original OG Jack hair that we had when he arrived.
I've been longing for the short back and quiff to come back, so I was pleased to see it. But it's hard to know what's happening up front at the moment, because I think it's hard to work out who is exactly playing where. He started as the striker in Bamford's absence, and then suddenly he seems to be playing defensive midfield for a while, and I think Daniel James went back to centre forward, which we knew from the Wolves game didn't really work, and then it was Harrison's back there a bit, and then Rodrigo seems to be playing there. And on the one hand, it's good that you've got this fluidity and players who can swap from position to position. On the other hand, it just looked like we didn't know what we were doing really, and we just need I think a lot of what we'll probably discuss over the next 20 minutes about how disjointed and horrible so much of it was. It'll be interesting to see what difference a fit Bamford makes when he comes back and we suddenly have a focal point and questions are answered.
I mean, a bit of a mixed bag from Rodrigo today, wasn't it? I mean, we certainly lose something when you lose Bamford, because Bamford leads the press from the front, doesn't he? And he tear asses around like a maniac to the point where he's sick after games and whatnot.
During games.
Well, you don't get that with Rodrigo. It's a different type of game, isn't it? There's lots of dropping off and dropping deep to try and get the ball on the half turn and all that sort of stuff. But you do lose like some of that mobility and the pressing at the front, I think.
It sometimes feels like...
I'm also regretting wearing the same jumper as Moscow now. I had a chance to take it off 5 minutes ago before we started this, but I need to take it off because I'm too warm. So continue with your point.
Okay. Try not to get any nipples. Oh, as you take it off, we don't want to... Oh, good, he's gone to one side. Thank God for that. Yeah, it feels like at the moment we're slightly sometimes electing to play without both a striker and a midfield. And I don't think that's working for us, I've got to say.
No, the false 9.
The false 9, the false 8, the false
10,
4,
11.
the false 10.
Yeah.
Just that big gap in the middle is still there. It's just that Norwich are awful. And so it wasn't as much of an issue as it normally would be.
I mean, JC Gaming has mentioned this in the comments now, saying when we play 3 at the back, we lose midfielder and it kills us every single time. I wonder what it will actually take for Bielsa to adjust it. I mean, I
It's
totally
not going to do it after a win.
Well, no, I totally agree that we do look far weaker. We've said it a lot in recent weeks when we come up against 2 up front, but it's a problem we've got to solve. But then again, you can't excuse like Calvin getting caught in possession or being slack with his distribution, because he wasn't really on it today, was he?
I think that's it. If the defender playing there is having a great game, it's not a problem. And you'd expect Calvin Phillips to be having a great game, especially after he's replaced Click, who did not have a great game last time. So a lot of it you can get tempted into, and this will be Bielsa's kind of answer to it all, is you can get tempted into changing the systems and saying the tactics are all wrong and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of it just is going to just play better.
Yeah.
Like Calvin on his own in midfield works if he's not passing the ball out for a throw-in or like going down easy under tackles and giving the ball away. Then it's not a problem. You don't worry about how many people are playing in midfield. It's when he's not on it and other players are not on it around him. We have problems. But before you started taking your clothes off and I poured Fanta in my eye, one of the things about up front is it's not just Bamford being missing, but it's then Daniel James is new, and whoever is playing at centre forward, whether it's Harrison, James, Rodrigo, it's not normal, and it's very different to the way we've spent the previous 3 years playing, when certainly after year one, once Bamford's knees stopped just breaking every time he moved, it was Bamford there pretty much all the time, whether he was scoring or not. Got very used to things, whereas this season without him for the first time for a long period of time in a while, it's thrown everybody off and trying to incorporate new players at the same time. Shackleton has not played at right back very often. We know about Stuart Dallas at left back, but Llorente didn't get the games. There's lots of things that are different that mean those.
Well, it's the opposite of marginal gains, isn't it? It's
yes,
like
it's lots of
marginal deficiencies. Yeah. John H has just mentioned in the comments, has just tuned in, was feeling happy about the 3 points. Miserable now. Thanks, lads. I don't think we're meaning to be miserable. I just think it was exhausting, wasn't it?
Christ, if we'd have lost, what would have happened then?
But that said, look, just when you take a step back from that game, we were never under any sustained period of pressure, were we? They did have chances, which obviously makes you nervous when it feels like everything's on the line when you're down here and you desperately need 3 points. But they were not good.
They flashed a couple of shots past the post, didn't they? And then there was the set piece that did go in. But yeah, they didn't have any as on the rack at any point, did they? It's not like one of those games where it felt like we were hanging on, really, because every time they attacked they couldn't create anything. There was a chance that, well, a half chance they had very late in the game. I think it's probably about the 93rd minute or something. It was crossed, and I think they just did an air kick in the box, and you think, well, that's about where they are. They're a very bad side made up of bad footballers, and that's why they are going down.
After watching them against Chelsea, that when they attack, they get a certain part of the way forward, and then they just don't seem to know what they do next. It's kind of
it's really difficult. This everyone's all organised in front of us,
and then they don't have the security at the back to be able to resist counter-attacks very well. So it's the best thing that they can do is just leave, to stop it, and then get out of everybody's way. If we'd scored in the first half, I think everybody's happy and it becomes 2 or 3-0 that game. We calm everything down. It was the longer it went without us scoring, and I know it feels like I'm using the referee as an excuse, but the more that the game went into that pattern of miss a pass, tackle, free kick, try to attack, miss a pass, tackle, free kick, you just got that feeling that it was more on edge than it should have been. And just confidence, form, the way things have been, the way everybody has been feeling, just needed that goal at the start, and we didn't get it. And I think until we got it.
Yeah, and when you're down and when you're in 17th and you start the day in 18th, nerves are going to be natural in that position, aren't they? And I think only by gradually dragging yourself out of the mud does confidence start to build when you get the points on the board and you can just breathe a little easier as you get towards mid-table. But I mean, look at that table. Like if Villa lose today to West Ham when we're recording just before they kick off, we're within 2 points with them, or we're level with them or something on points, and Brentford are only a couple in front of us, and they've been...
No, Brentford are going to win the league.
Well, they've been told that they're adjusting to life in the Premier League and will stay up no trouble, and they've been singing Hey Jude every game, just a bus stop in Hounslow, but plucky little Brentford. But you know what I mean? We don't need to panic or anything just yet.
I think the worry is today that you wanted to see us win, obviously, first and foremost, but you also did want something better than that, because it doesn't feel like we've quite got out of that
mindset.
I don't know. It feels like we're playing percentages a bit more now. Like there seems to be lots more lazy balls, just like we'll just get it and knock it down the line. Whereas it feels like a year ago it was done with a lot more precision, and it was done because we know we knock it down the line, but then someone underlaps or overlaps, or there's people coming in from midfield, and it just feels all a little bit like we're going through the motions sometimes. And like Moscow said, maybe it's because we've got quite a different cast at the moment, trying to do the same stuff. And the bad form, I guess, lends itself towards people maybe playing it a bit safer, because people don't want to try and thread the needle in quite the same way and lose the ball. But it's just none of it is quite working. But maybe you do need to play your way back into form.
A year ago, we were
acceptably.
A year ago, we were losing 4-1 to Leicester City and Crystal Palace in back-to-back games.
How many points do we have a year ago?
I don't know. I can't produce that quickly. I can get the Wikipedia. We had, admittedly, and this is... I don't know what point this comes into, but so this time last year, end of October, drew 1-1 with Manchester City, lost 1-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers, brilliant Bamford 3, Aston Villa 0, then those two 4-1. So weird a year ago. It just sometimes you got to cast your mind back and say, well, we've never been any good.
Going back to the start.
It's not where I thought you'd end that, but
no. But thanks for your input there. Going back to the start, that James handball early doors. Did you think for a second, oh well, this is it. This is where VAR checks it, and it's a definite handball, and we go one down, and we never claw our way back, and panic.
I think last year they'd probably looked at it and given that.
Well, they would, wouldn't they? Yeah, they would have given it.
I mean, there's not a chance he meant to do it.
Well, the first point to say is that he kicked it with his foot, and it went from his foot to his hand, which was therefore in a natural position.
Don't kick it into your own hands,
though. Play.
Is that what you reckon?
I mean, that's one of the first things you should be trying not to do, is kick it into your own hands.
The other point is, as TT1362 points out in the comments, Kelvin, whoever he is, Calvin, let's get it right, wasn't his normal self today. Poor passes and not his energetic self. We're only 3 points off 11, though, so we can move up if we get some points in the bag.
I'm just counting up the games. Oh, it was all different this time last year because the season started so late, so it's irrelevant. And I just tried to do the maths, and now it wasn't worthwhile.
And then there was also, when going back to the start of the game, I think it's 12 minutes in. Mind you, Daniel James, I started making notes in the first half, and then I just gave up after about 15 minutes because I didn't enjoy it and I found it stressful. But James went round the keeper after 8 minutes. So at that point, I thought, okay, actually, maybe this is going to be our day. Went round, created a chance, should have scored, maybe could have scored.
It was cleared off the line by, of all people, Grant Hanley managed to sprint back and get it, but that came from a Norwich mistake, didn't it? They just gave us the ball and we had a go, and there was quite a few like that, and if one of those had gone for us in the first half, it would have been very pleasant. But we needed to just, I suppose, while I was listening to what you were saying about digging out from form, while I was trying to do irrelevant maths about things that happened 12 months ago, but it's also been a week since the Wolves game of people just saying the Norwich game is a must-win and there is absolutely no margin for error, during which we went to Arsenal and lost 2-0. So I don't think any Leeds United player is going to have taken the pitch at Carrow Road today feeling happy and relaxed and looking forward to a joyful afternoon of free-flowing football. The pressure was on and they played like a team under pressure. So it's kind of fair enough. I almost have been more concerned if they had just come out looking bright and breezy and bushy-tailed, like, well, what are you so happy about being in the bottom three, you idiots? Show some stress. So maybe the best thing about it is that they do look all completely stressed out and can't pass to each other, because that's exactly how they should be feeling. It's just not what we want.
Yeah, my third and final note of this game was 12 minutes in, Llorente, what's that word I've written there?
Madness.
Yeah, it is. Well, madness is the final word.
Utter madness. Inexplicable
having
madness.
a madness, I've put. Yeah, Llorente having a madness. He had a couple of moments in that first early spell, didn't he, in the first 20 minutes where you thought...
Just kept trying to dribble around people.
What are you doing, Diego?
Yeah, I think if Liam Cooper does those things, he's probably getting absolutely torn apart this evening. People are saying, what is he doing? He's obviously not good enough. Because it's Llorente, people are a bit more forgiving, but he was terrifying in the first 15 minutes.
But it's also part of what we needed to do when we don't have an extra player in midfield, or 2 players in midfield at least. You need to take one of their players out by beating them at the back to generate more numbers in midfield. And Llorente versus Pukki, you'd think that's fine because Llorente thinks he's Johan Cruyff and Pukki is a very old man. So it's there for him to be done. But the problem was, I think he maybe just got into the mindset that he wanted to beat Pukki again and ended up fouling him too many times. So that's why it was going wrong. But it's part of the plan of try and get beyond their striker, and then we start to have a numerical advantage in attack. So a necessary evil. There's some sense in his weirdness.
Let's talk about that bonkers 5 minutes then. The goals. First goal. Rafa, are we a one-man team?
He was the only one doing anything today, and I didn't actually think he was always that good today in a lot of ways. He was sometimes
his pass completion rate in the first half was about 43%, I think.
It was sometimes fairly wasteful, but then equally he was the only person who
making stuff happen,
really made it look like who looked like he would make anything happen. So I suppose you can't criticise him too much, and he took his goal pretty well. Cut inside, he kind of beat one man, then got his body across in front of someone else, so they'd have to foul him to stop him. So
we both said, didn't we, in the run up to that, this is it, go on, like that. So I think we sensed, didn't we?
Yeah, and then I made the mistake of picking up my phone, and by the time I did that, I got a notification to say Norwich had scored. I was like, oh, brilliant. I'm just going to watch this corner, and it's in.
I know deleting is cheating, as the phrase goes, but I did tweet from the Square Ball account. Thank Flip for that I've censored that for sensitive ears, because I know we don't want to swear and fall foul of the algorithm. But by the time it had published, it was 1-1, which was unfortunate, and I did delete it like a coward, a big scaredy cat.
Still a complete screamer to get us back in front.
Well, they all count, don't they? They all count. Well done, Tim Krul. But yeah, it was that was quite emotionally draining, that 5 minutes. The high, and then the disappointment, but then the high again.
It'd have been interesting to see how that game panned out had Tim Krul not had a Rahubka moment with it, to see how much pressure we would have been able to apply, or whether or not they would have had more confidence. And because when they equalised so quickly, you kind of expect them to be the team in the ascendancy, don't you? Whereas as it was just so end to end at that stage that they never got a chance to enjoy any of that good feeling of equalising. So I don't know if we'd have been able to break them down again if it had not been for that.
I don't think Norwich and the ascendancy, you're talking about somebody kind of kneeling. That's about as close to ascendancy as Norwich ever managed. That goal put them on their knees, and we just put them back flat on their faces again. It was upsetting, annoying. It's hard to know who to shout at the most. Shackleton for that pass to Meslier, or Meslier for his attempted pass back to him. I mean, I know he can only... Well, I've seen him use his right foot, but I know he prefers his left. But you know, you can use your left foot to pass it to the left anyway. Just a mess, and then we know that we're going to concede from a corner more often than not. So that was the problem. But I thought we'd score another.
I want to say just regards to, was it the first goal, the Rafinha one? Was it the Rafinha one? I think it was, wasn't it?
The first goal was the Rafinha goal.
Where was it Dan James, the through ball? Because I think Dan James had what you might describe as a difficult afternoon at times, and I don't think he's fully settled in yet, as we're not seeing the best of him. We're not using him to his best, I don't think, yet. But that ball through was nice. It was a good ball, that intelligent.
It was a good move in the build up to it. We played. We did have some nice stuff. Maybe that's back to where I was at the start, where if you have Bamford at the focal point, these nice attacking moves have a little bit more purpose about them. Whereas I think they tend to, if Rafinha doesn't dribble in off the wing and score, they have a tendency to fizzle more often than not, and not in a exciting firework way.
I found your league table for you, by the way, Moscow. After 10 games last year, we were 10th and had 14 points.
No, we're only 4 points behind then.
So it's not a huge amount more, is it?
Yeah, but 4 as a percentage of 10 is quite a lot.
Yeah, but still.
It depends how you're looking at it, doesn't it? It feels a lot worse, though, I think is the thing. Some of the defeats at the early part of last season, like the Palace and Leicester games, there were still moments in them where it felt like we were, if not at our best, we did click at points. Whereas today, it never felt like we actually did. But we've got
Leicester, we were a goal down after about 2 minutes.
Yeah, but we were also back in that game, and we were Pablo came on and hit the bar, did he, or something? No, hit the post with it, and it felt like it could have gone the other way in that one. Whereas it feels like generally this season we've never quite had any
It's not been as fun, has it?
No.
We got to 10 games. You know what we did in games 11 and 12?
Lost
Them both.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, well, if we can claw something back, then we'll be all right, won't we?
We'll win them next 2. We're playing Leicester again, and we've proven we can beat them now.
Great.
And didn't they lose to some absolute no marks yesterday?
Yes. I can't remember who, though.
Arsenal, who beat us.
Arsenal, of course.
So,
Yeah. Well,
so that's
don't
probably a
talk about
score
Arsenal.
draw.
Have we heard from Daniel Farker in the post-match? Just wondering. We've heard from Rodrigo from the official account. They are saying that we needed this victory. So
He's not wrong.
He's correct in that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think Farker's feeling right now? Is he sad?
Oh no, it's not a problem. I don't mind if the better team won, and that's in some ways that's the most important thing.
I mean, Daniel, what do you think of the error that Tim Krul made that's could be very costly for you? Could even cost you your job.
Well, if it does, I won't hold it against him, because regrets they will only ever weigh you down in time, and it's better that we all move on. And Tim and I will maybe go for a massage and make friends and have some tapas.
Yeah.
Tapas for sure. Yeah. The albondigas. That's my favorite.
Very good.
And I will pay.
What do you think Bielsa's going to make of that, Moscow? Because we haven't heard from him yet. Will he be happy?
I think he's going to say something like, we went quickly from joy to sadness, but that is what football has that is extraordinary.
Bastard.
Something along those lines.
Bastard.
I just have a feeling he may have something
I just
like
saw that appear on my feed just say the words. I hate myself.
I mean, his biggest concern is whether he's any internal bruising from Rafinha kicking his face off.
Well, you don't like to see that, do you?
No, does that speak to problems in the dressing room? Because for me, Clive, you've got Brazilians and Argentinians in there, and it's asking
mix,
for trouble, Clive.
No.
Yeah,
It's like pouring oil on water.
We've seen this. We've seen this historically. I liked. Rafinha did stop short of making Bielsa pick himself up. I thought he didn't quite give him the Cody Drame treatment. There's a pecking order there. He recognised, but yeah, it's not often you see Bielsa getting knocked over. I'm trying to think of which game it was last season. It might have been Southampton when he did that same thing at full time of just staying crouching, staring at the ground, not moving, just thinking whatever thoughts he's thinking. So I don't know if that speaks to him being relieved, whether he's just sick of watching Diego Llorente and worrying all the time, or what it was. But I'm sure he's happy with the win.
As long as he's happy, that's fine.
The performance deserved the victory is what he's actually saying, as Adam Pope is tweeting as I speak. The game was very disputed. It's true. It wasn't an easy game for us. We created many situations which should have created danger, but we didn't create that many that were.
We are a little bit unthreatening in attack, aren't we? Just a word for Stuart Dallas. A few people in the comments on the YouTube stream asking about Dallas, saying it was nice that he got, if you heard on the commentary, getting a proper backing, a bit of a lift from the Leeds fans who were singing "There's Only One Stuart Dallas," which is nice given that the difficulties he's had recently with losing one of his mates, and may explain why. Maybe his mind is not 100% on the game all the time. So good for him. I thought he had a better game and he grew into it a little bit as well. He sort of tightened it all up, and the passing was better as that game wore on.
I thought he was good today. Was Dallas? He wanted, as good as anyone was. When I was more or less hating every single player on the pitch for the majority of that game. But yeah, I thought he was fairly decent again, and he's a bit isolated down that left hand side when we play this system as well. There were a few times in the first half where he was doubled up on, and it felt, there was one point in fact where he just did go completely missing. He was somewhere up the other end of the pitch, I think, been busy attacking. But no, I think he did all right today. And I thought it was, speaking of the fullbacks, actually, I thought it was good that I quite enjoyed just seeing Cody Drama come on at right back as a right back, because that's what he does, rather than going, okay, Stuart, you go to right back, Jackie to left back, and doing a big reshuffle, which we sometimes see, and everyone moves positions. But actually, there's something nice in being able to bring on a sub and just go, well, you just play the position you actually play. Yeah,
I've been a little underwhelmed, without wanting to say it out loud, about Shackleton at right back. He's not fully selling me there, which is fair because he's a midfielder. So I would endorse Cody Drama.
How do you think he got on today?
Shackleton.
Well, both of them. Drama as well when he came on.
I mean, Shaq, maybe Norwich's goal kind of sums him up a little bit there. That speaks of that discomfort where you'd seen in that sort of situation Llorente deciding not to pass to Meslier because of the character of the ball he would be giving him, whether it's on Ilian's most comfortable foot, and sometimes even though he will have been growling, keeper, keeper, he's got to say no keeper, into touch. Whereas Shaq, not being so defensively minded and not having 10 years at Real Sociedad and Real Madrid Academy behind him, just peg it at him. But put him in midfield and have him as an option there, and then Cody Drameh looked good against Arsenal, absolutely no problems this afternoon. So if he can just be a right back at right back, and then we need some midfielders. It's what everybody's, maybe instead of Adam Forshaw, Radrizzani should have said Jamie Shackleton, but he would give us an extra body midfield, and his
Forshaw,
ability to run back and forward.
Yeah, he covers a lot of ground, doesn't he?
energy.
But he seemed to lack that out ball a lot of the time, which is something I feel like, when I said, I think it was last week when I was saying we seem to not be quite doing those little interchanges of passing out wide, and I think maybe it's Shackleton's side that I've sort of seen those little triangles and 3-on-2s. It's because he's not quite got that out ball down the line.
He's always looked good as a sub coming on, backing up Rafinha, and Rafinha looks like he loved him. But then you saw the first half today when we were talking about Rafinha's pass percentages before. I think he would blame Jamie Shackleton for some of that, because he was certainly giving him 4 on a couple of occasions. But if you remember, the classic Shackleton game was the Derby playoff, both of them. He'd played in the second leg as well, didn't he? But certainly the first leg, where in midfield he was absolutely brilliant. And you think, right, Stuart Dallas hadn't made his move into midfield at that point, so you think, right, Shackleton will be our midfielder for the next 10 years, and instead he's milling about at right back. So with Click out of form, with Calvin Phillips out of form, and Ayling injured, maybe there's something different that can happen there. But Forshaw's back, and is our new striker.
I thought it was good.
He was covering some good ground, wasn't he? I thought, like, he just being in there, as we said before, like, was it last week when there was that big gap against Wolves because they were sitting so deep, and there was kind of that big, I don't know, acres of space just in midfield, and he just came on. He seemed to dominate that space quite nicely, and he was covering a lot of ground for a man who is essentially broken.
I think it's sometimes difficult to get involved as a sub as well, whereas it felt like he came in and was... I just looked at the stats, actually. He touched it 13 times in his 13 minutes he was on the pitch, which is quite a lot. So
that's once a minute.
That is once a minute. But he was apart from that time, when Rafinha tried to play through a ball to him because he was somehow our furthest man forward, and you were sort of thinking, I'm not sure.
Forshaw as the false 9.
It's great when he just refused to pass to Jackie Harrison as well. He wasn't going to put him through on goal, but that famous deadly finisher, Adam Forshaw, I've got to pass to him at the earliest opportunity.
Has Forshaw scored for us?
I think he's scored 1, but if you remember back in the dim and distant days when he did actually play games for us,
he just kept missing loads of chances, didn't he?
Yeah, it became a meme about Adam Forshaw never scoring. I'm sure people were singing at him about having a shoot. The old batty kind of thing started happening to him. But he's not a goal scorer under any circumstances, which is why it was so hilarious to see him.
Let him define himself. Don't you tell him what he can and can't do.
Sprinting onto through balls from Rafinha into their penalty area.
We should give a word to Efani Koko, who was doing the co-coms, I think, on Sky today. We were watching alternative commentary on our television screen, so we didn't get to share in the joy.
Thanks for that, Noel.
But apparently, should we say, as a former Norwich player, he was leaning heavily towards the home side today, and a lot of people were unhappy with it and saying they were watching the game on mute and so on and so forth.
I mean, I don't mind when players are kind of just obviously biased.
We enjoy it when Lucy Ward's doing it, don't we?
Yeah,
Jermaine Beckford.
I have more of an issue with it when people are just doing it on the sly and just being maintaining the front of being impartial, but then actually just completely favouring them. But if he's just come out and said, I want Norwich to win or whatever, fair enough.
And there's a lot of long lingering camera shots on that Leeds fan who works for them as the sporting director. What's his name? Stuart
Webber.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. He was all about how don't bully Norwich. They don't come up, just go straight back down. But my favourite part of his midweek comments was that he needed the Carrow Road crowd to really get behind the lads.
Real bear pit.
Which, for a start, is a ridiculous request to make of the Carrow Road crowd. But then secondly, towards the end, when there was a perfectly reasonable pass backwards of about 5 yards to Tim Krul, because Leeds were blocking off any forward passes, and he would have an easier route of getting the ball forward quickly, and all the Norwich fans started booing, and it just told me that they really just don't understand what they're looking at. You might as well just show them just get a fridge freezer and just like move it up and down the pitch for a while, and we're like, oh, that's good. They just don't really get anything that's...
Jake Humphrey will not have liked that booing either. He doesn't like negativity, does he?
No, and it was really negative. And if you compare, because a lot of people were really sort of wowed by the Leeds crowd against Wolves, that we were really helping the team to a 1-1 draw and celebrating it like a victory. But that is what you need when you are bottom of the table and fighting to get out of trouble. If that's the Norwich fans' attitude towards being at the bottom of the table and fighting their way out of trouble, booing a perfectly reasonable pass in the last 10 minutes of the game.
The goal music didn't cheer them up either. Did it?
9 hours since they've heard that. I don't know if that's home or away since they last had the advantage of the goal music.
What was it? The goal music?
Wasn't it Tom Hart?
It was some sort of 90s dance thing. That's all that stuck in my memory.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was it that?
Yeah.
Great stuff. What an atmosphere.
Yeah, I can't
Fantastic.
remember the name of it. It'll come to me when we get off air, won't it? But when we get off air. Anyway, just a final thing then to wrap it up. Are we going to hear from Farker about how he's feeling? Because, you know, his team are 8 points adrift now already at this stage of the season, a quarter of the season.
Has he been sacked yet?
He's gone. He's not. But I mean, like, but what's his message to the fans? That's what I want to know, because they're not going to be happy tonight. They're languishing at the bottom of the table. They've been beaten again on their own patch by a team that, you know, they would hope to take points off. So what's his message to the fans?
We can win the championship again next season. I fully believe it. I've assembled a team that can do it every other year. We can win the league and then go down without winning any games.
Very good. Any more comments to add then? Are we feeling all right? Are we feeling happy with that? Or is it just another box to tick in terms of the points are in the bank, we move on to next week? Or can we at all reflect on that with some positivity?
I'll at least be able to sleep, I think, a bit tonight. Whereas if we'd have lost that, I would have been thinking, yeah, we probably are going down here. Whereas at the moment, I just think we probably are still in a relegation scrap, but with a chance.
Hey, lads, we've done half an hour. We've not even said the words, you know. Tyler Roberts.
He was all right, wasn't he? When he came on, I was wondering, Moscow. It was like Wembley '96 in here. Why is Tyler on the bench?
Yeah,
and all that.
Furious, wasn't he? Yeah.
No, he was all right. He was all right when he came on.
He put Rafinha away for a chance, didn't he?
He did.
Sickening. Sick of it.
He was perfectly good.
No,
Man of the match.
It was an all right day, I think. A decent day at the office. Then is that how we basically box this one off?
Fine. It was a fine day. It was all right.
When do we play Norwich again?
Is that our next win? We just look ahead.
No, I think,
later in the season, I think.
If we can get them with everything a little bit calmer and more of our good players back and more of our good players playing properly, we'll absolutely smash them. Even with our anxious performance and players not playing the best and it not being the easy win that would have been the dream, you can still see the clear difference in quality and application. And if that's the standard of team that's going down, we are better than that. So I'm saying it now. Too good to go down. And we're not.
I will say, I will agree with Michael. If we'd have lost that today, I was quite prepared to accept relegation. That would have been it for me. I was like, forget it. It's fine. I'll embrace it now.
I just feel myself sinking.
It'll hurt less when we get to April and May if I just accept it now. But no,
there would have been a reasonable argument for closing Leeds United Football Club down if that had been the case today. But I think we'll be okay.
I think because we've been so good for a few years, it's really hard
to adjust to the other way.
To adjust being down at the bottom, and also we need to have a slight acceptance that teams down the bottom of the league are shit.
Yeah,
and we just need to be a bit better than three other shit teams, and it's all right. Even though it's not going to be fun necessarily, it should still be all right.
Is it?
It was a shame Burnley won 3-1. I didn't see that.
But they're
coming.
crap. They'll get hammered again next week. You know, it's fine. It's
yeah.
Fine. And this is why we do it over a season and not just 1 week, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's sticking with the old league system. Yeah. Well, if you are a TSB Plus subscriber, by the way, check out the feedback form as well. Let us know what we got right, wrong, anything we missed on this on the match ball, and we will address all that on Propaganda. We'll also hear from Norwich fans. Do we know of any hard-hitting, furious Norwich podcasts or fan channels that will really dig into their team, or are they broken, do you think, already?
I don't really know. I can't remember ever hearing from any Norwich fans.
Delia.
Yeah.
Never off the television. Ed Balls.
Drunk and screaming, won't she? Her and Jake Humphrey. What a waste of time. Don't bother Norwich.
All right.
Well, Propaganda will definitely be worth listening to.
Yes.
Michael will find something to make it worth a great show from our point of view. It won't be a waste of time.
No, correct.
And we look forward to that 10-minute show on on Tuesday. Thanks for listening and watching this one. We will see you in a bit.